modern gods, it's right. It's Richard
Hey, it's Richard.
and
Who's this
John.
over here? Oh, there.
Over there. Ha ha ha. Hi everybody. Another Monday, April 7th. I think we can officially say happy
April 8th.
April 8th. The sun went out
Yeah.
an hour ago.
Actually, when this is the eclipse is supposed to happen about 3:00 Eastern time, which
That's
is
what I'm saying. Why are you watching this?
Yeah, exactly. You should be out. Don't stare at the sun, please.
Please sacrifice the virgins now to appease the sun god who has taken his gift from us. We'll wait. Comic books. That's what we do here. Funny books, reading them, collecting them. Like and subscribe. Leave us a review. All that good stuff. We have our normal stuff. You know how it goes if you're a long timer. Underrated books of the week. 25-year rule. I don't know why I'm talking like this. What I was going to say is it's our 4th birthday, Richard.
I know. I actually looked and I saw the domain. We registered the domain this coming week, so we are
This
right
many.
there.
This many. It's funny you mentioned the domain because guess what, everybody? Richard is now officially in charge of updating it. So it will be updated, I'm sure, on a much more regular basis. Congratulations.
Thank you. I accept the honor. We talked before the show about how any idiot could do it, and I'm fully qualified to be in that category.
And I said, "What idiots do I know?" And I thought of you.
As you should.
I thought about people who are upset about the hot book of the week. Richard, talk about it.
Hot book this week, there's Earth X number 12 from Marvel. It's the first appearance of Shala Bal as the female Silver Surfer.
Wait, you mean there's a precedent? Go on.
Raws on eBay now is selling for up to $40. This comes on the heels of Marvel announcing it has cast Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer.
Stand by for Nerd Boy Rage. Nerd Boy Rage, engage. Go.
I'm CGC's the last CGC 9.8 sold in August of 2023 for $41. I can guarantee you the next 9.8 that sells will be more than that.
What do we think of this? Are we upset like some people are? I'm a little upset, I have to say.
I'm upset. Upset's not I think it's a wasted opportunity. That's how I look at it. I think Marvel needs to come out swinging with their A-listers for this next phase. It's just a fact of life. They already have this malaise in their fan base because of the movies that have come out in the previous phase. They need to strike something out of the park, and I think having not putting on the Silver Surfer that everyone expects is a missed opportunity.
It's also confusing to drive-by fans, civilians, as we say, because we've already established the Silver Surfer is male in the Fantastic Four sequel from Fox a few years ago. And now all of a sudden, oh, she's female. Like, what? I don't know. Maybe we're overthinking this. Maybe it's not a big deal. It just bugs me.
It does. Like I said, I really want Marvel to be successful. I really do. And they're trying to appeal to comic book fans like you and me and our audience. We have certain expectations when we go to see movies based on our favorite titles, and we have baggage that we bring along. And that's one group. But then the other group is, people like your sisters. They are they know something about comic books, but it's not their primary focus, and they want to go to the theater to have a good time and build that not knowledge about these characters as they watch the movies.
It's funny you say my sisters, because I wonder if the fact that it's a female Silver Surfer will appeal more to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. The gender thing is less a bugaboo for me than it is than it is the fact that every time they have deviated from the source material, it's been horrible.
Yes.
And when they stick to the source material, it's great.
Daredevil's a good example of that. Great. Love it.
All right. All right. Well, what do you guys think? Let us know. In the meantime, I also want to talk about the big auctions that happened this past week, Richard. Action Comics #1,
Yes.
8.5 Kansas City pedigree, $6 million hairs. What do you think?
I think I have two thoughts on that. I wonder how much of a gift grade that is. CGC slabbed it, put it in the auction as to me as a piece of promotional material um, from their side. Um,
Do we know who the owner was?
I don't think so. I think this is all anonymous.
Yeah.
Um, $6 million for that book is probably apropos. It's you just don't find that book in that grade. It just doesn't exist. So when one comes up, you pay the price.
Less than 100 in existence, supposedly 85 of them in sellable condition, whatever that means. I just love all the mainstream attention. It was in Forbes, CBS News did a feature on it.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Detective Comics 27, 6.5, no slouch either, sold for 1.8 million. That made TMZ. That's my favorite.
Well, yeah, I mean it's Batman and Superman. It's those are characters that everybody knows. I mean, you have to ask 3-year-olds in sub-Saharan Africa; they'll know who they are. So yeah, I'm not surprised the mainstream media is
Did you see the Amazing Spider-Man 300 signed by Todd McFarlane, 9.8, that sold for $26,000?
okay.
What?
That is not a good use of your money, in my opinion. Because like a 9.8 was going for around 5 grand, right?
I
For
don't know what's going on with that sale.
Yeah.
It's not passing the sniff test.
Yeah, that book is not rare. It's uncommon in a 9.8, but it's not 100 copies like Action Comics rare.
Are crypto bros back? Is someone laundering cash for, for Colombian drug front? What's going on?
I would love to know.
Well, if you want to launder your cash, you can do so by supporting the show. You can launder it for just $2.99 a month at a time. It'll take you a long time to launder millions of dollars, but we won't mind. You would get some things by being a member: exclusive live member only streams, extra show and tell episodes, shout outs. Here's the scroll. We look at the members. Da, 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 da,
Oh,
da, da.
thank you.
Congratulations. Hit join right here on YouTube. It's next to the subscribe button. If you're not on YouTube, you got to flip over to YouTube, visit our channel, and hit that join button. All right, Richard, enough of the hard sell. Show and tell.
Mhm.
Put away the grease gun, mister. Enough of the hard sell. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos #7. Um, early Marvel Silver Age reboot of the Marvel Universe. This was the first non-superhero book that Stan and Jack launched after all those other superhero books. This is one of the titles that I don't do a lot, even though it's Jack Kirby, because George Russo's, inky, scratchy inks. He inked most of the early run, and it's just horrible. Just what he did to Jack Kirby's pencils. I can't believe, maybe Stan and Martin Goodman weren't paying enough, and they didn't care. Um, Interesting thing about this issue: inside there is a house ad featuring Daredevil #1, now on sale,
Yeah.
because this came out a month after Daredevil #1. So that's interesting. First, I saw that house ad and I thought, is this pre Daredevil #1? Is this the actual first appearance of Daredevil? No. But there you go. Poor Marvel, Silver Age Marvel, known for the cover copy and captions.
Yes, yes, very, very busy, wordy covers for that era.
There you go. All right. What do you have?
Well, I have my first book is Silver Surfer Black.
Why has it
This
got to
is
be black?
why you gotta be black. Um, I love, this is an example of playing to your strengths. You've got the Silver Surfer, everybody knows, and Donny Cates did a great job on this series. The art is a little out there in some of the issues. I mean, out there, like psychedelic out there. But it fits the theme of the book, and I have no problem with it. It just, like look at this cover, for example. It's kind of indicative of some of the interior art in some of the books. It's pretty crazy. But again, you're using your strengths. You're using the character that people know. It's he transforms. You see, he's got a black arm there. He slowly transforms to all black over the course of the series. But yeah, this is my pick.
Nice. I never read that. I have a couple of the variant covers for some of the issues that are nice, but
Some of the covers are just absolutely gorgeous, especially for number one.
Speaking of number ones and gorgeous art, Akira, number one.
You SOB. I know exactly where you got that book.
Got it from my LCS. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Very high grade, very very beautiful book. Have you ever read Akira?
I have seen the anime. I have not read the book.
I think I saw it at the Cleveland. What was the art theater in Cleveland on the east side when we were coming up?
The Cedar Lee.
The Cedar Lee. I saw it at the Cedar Lee Theater when it had a theatrical run in the US, and didn't understand it. Thought it was cool.
Typical Japanese anime. It's very difficult for, I think, Western audiences to get all of the references and the context. But you go there for the pretty art.
Yeah. Just a groundbreaking book. One of the first manga reprints in the US that actually appealed to a mainstream audience here, which is completely flipped on its head now. Now manga is mainstream and superheroes are the least dominant part of the art form. It's amazing to me that A, Marvel picked this up and published it, B, that they saw it through to the very end, because sales were not strong for that last year and a half or so. So the fact that they committed to it and kept doing it, kept raising the cover price to compensate. But yeah, when this came out, was this a $3.50?
How's the spine on that?
Never opened, never cracked.
Nice.
So there we go. Akira number one. Didn't see that one coming, did you, folks? Richard, what's next?
Next, I have Spider-Ham. Again, picking instead of number ones.
Ham.
Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham. Anyone who's seen any of the Miles Morales movies, the Into the Spider-Verse movies, will recognize Spider-Ham. He is a okay, I gotta get this right. He is a spider who was bitten by a radioactive pig.
I think you got it backwards.
Do I have it backwards? He wasn't.
He's a pig. Look.
Yeah, he looks like a pig. Yeah, but I don't think he started off as a pig.
He was Peter Porker.
Okay. Yeah,
it's in the title.
Okay. Yeah, audience, I know you're going to fact check us. Let us know who's right. But anyway, I love the character. I was highly invested in all of the Spider-Verse movies. I thought they did a great job of pulling characters like Spider-Ham out of their titles and gave them life, animated them. And so this is a nice series if you're interested in learning more about Spider-Ham and his friends.
I love the art style. I think Joe Albedo was his name. I'm not sure if he did that cover, but I think I was a junior in high school when this came out, and I would fill my margins of my notebooks with Spider-Ham doodles and Captain Americat and Goose Rider.
Yeah, it's a cool take on the whole spider genre. So definitely worth it.
All right, this might be an example of the most recent book to ever be featured on Show and Tell. I've talked about Captain America, the new series.
Right.
I've ever shown it on Show and Tell. I've just talked about it. This came out on Wednesday, and I must talk about it. Someone sent me a DM about it. I can't remember who it is. Please forgive me. And they knew I read this book and said, "Did you read the latest issue? Savage Dragon 269." Okay. Now, no big shake. You guys all know I love Eric Larson. You guys know I still pick up Savage Dragon out of habit. Still energetic. Look at the fake Wolverine there. I mean, come on. Here's the reason why. This has a cameo in it, and I can't discuss it without spoiling it. So I'm going to have to spoil it. If you read Savage Dragon and you don't want to be spoiled, please pause and skip ahead about 5 minutes until you see me. If you're on YouTube, you'll see me put the book down. If you're on the podcast, skip ahead until you hear me talking or Richard talking about his next book. Eric Larson pushing the boundaries always of A, taste, and B, legality.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in the wedding issue I showed you a few weeks ago offline, where there's a panel of the bride enjoying a snack, let's say, from another female. In this issue, Steamboat Willie era Mickey Mouse,
Okay.
who is Mickey Mouse and is named Mickey Mouse in the book,
Okay.
randomly sexually assaults one of the female characters walking down the street by shoving his snout up her dress.
Oh.
Now, what is Eric accomplishing here? Is it a statement on copyright law and public domain? Is it just, I think this is funny, I'm going to do this? What's happening here?
Is he lonely and wants a letter from Disney's lawyers,
Like
people company?
Big Steamboat era Mickey Mouse is.
Oh, I totally understand. It's public domain, but Disney shaves that very thin because not all Mickeys are public domain. Just that particular character or version of Mickey Mouse. You wander too close to the next version of Mickey Mouse, and you are back in Disney's territory. I don't know why he did that.
This book has gone off the rails the last few years. Like I said, I still buy it out of habit. I still enjoy the art. I do enjoy the action, the slam bam action, but then all the sexual stuff, I don't know. Is he bored? He's done 269 consecutive issues of this book, and it's almost like I've done everything. I can't think of anything else to do with this book, so I'm just gonna entertain myself and the 3,000 people who read it.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, is it still a viable title? I mean, does it still sell enough to?
It has to, or they just would. He would. I don't know. Is he that rich that he can take a loss on every issue? Is he an Image founder, so he gets to do what he wants and not have to pay the typical Image fees? We don't know the financial ins and outs with the founders. But Eric, why?
Eric, if you're watching, because of course you're watching, please reach out. We'd love to have you on the show.
I would, I think West Coast Avengers had him on a few, maybe I'm imagining that. I know Todd McFarlane was on his YouTube channel. I thought Eric Larson was too. I need to watch that interview. Maybe Dave asked him, what up, dude? Because where's the guy I love that loved Nova? Where's the guy that I know loved, the Defenders and fun superheroes? And I don't know. There's still a little bit of it that I glean each month from this, but then I hit the Mickey Mouse thing and sorry if you're back. Then I hit this thing and I was like, oh man,
269 issues. You gotta get bored at some point. I mean, that's Cerebus long,
Yeah, I think he wants to beat that 300 record. So
it drove Dave Sim crazy.
I won't say Eric Larson's crazy. I will say, It's his book, it's his title, he owns it. He can make these choices. Savage Dragon has always had that sexual element to it. It's nothing new. I mean, people like to act like the last few years have gotten incredibly crazy. They have. It's gotten much more explicit. A lot of the stuff used to be implied, but I don't know. Why $3.99 a month? What am I doing?
Mhm.
Am I a completist?
I think you are.
All right. What do you have? What's your last one?
Okay, here is the first Superman book I have bought in years. It is Superman. Is it Superman 18? Yeah.
Oh wow, you have a recent book too.
Yeah. This is the issue where Superman reveals he's actually Clark Kent,
Hmm.
to the surprise of everyone somehow.
No,
Um,
he can vibrate his face to disguise it while he wears his glasses. Remember?
yeah, it's it was it was one of those. To me, this is just more marketing than anything else, because it went over like a whimper, and it came out. People are specking on it. I bought a couple copies just because that's how crazy I am. Even though I knew nothing was really going to come of it, and sure enough, nothing really has come of it. Um, so Superman no longer has, in the Superman comics, no longer has a secret identity until, I don't know, something happens to wipe the minds of everyone on the planet so that they forget, and he can go back to having his, who knows, with comic
I
books.
think that may have already happened. But first of all,
Really?
hold that up again. You see who's responsible, or at least wrote it. Your good buddy Brian
Right.
Michael Bendis,
Yeah.
who loves breaking all the toys in the toy box and then leaving. Peter Parker revealing that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Brian Michael Bendis. And I think Mark Miller had a little bit to do with that too, Civil War. But this whole thing, again, he's not a paragon of virtue, but John Byrne he had a really good point in the past where he says it's easy to write stories that blow everything up.
Mhm.
It's harder to maintain that status quo and come up with original stuff.
And Superman, you've got boundaries with this guy, right? I mean, he's been around since 1939, and there's certain things he will not do. Um, so
What do you gain from that though? Because you're
yeah,
removing the essential tension in the book, which
right.
is, Lois and Clark versus Lois and Superman, the triangle, Lana Lang. Why would you remove one of the more interesting things about the character?
Yeah, and they play on that trope all the time in animated series and in live action movies. There's that whole thing, that triangle that you mentioned between Lois, Clark, and Superman. That's a major focus of a lot of these movies, and now, based on the title, that dynamic has been broken.
Anybody who wants to write Superman should be required to read Supreme by Alan Moore first.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Here's how you do it without messing things up and keeping everything there. And if you get it, you can do it. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell us. It's a segment called Viewer Mail.
You've got mail.
First piece of viewer mail comes to us from our member, Brett Rubin. Hi, Brett.
Hey, Brett.
John and Richard. First off, congrats on the 4 years. In these often strange and troubling days, discovering and joining the Bronze and Modern Gods community has been a weekly source of joy, insight, and laughter. Thanks for that. Looking forward to lots more, and all for less than the price of a Starbucks. Uh, of late, Marvel seems very game for more mature and bloody content. From the recent Sabretooth War run in Wolverine, think Macbeth Act 4, up your codpiece gore with that one,
Uh,
to the announcement that there will be separate red band prints of the Blood Hunt Limited series, to the supposed hard R rating for Deadpool and Wolverine, the House of Mouse is suddenly knuckle-popping blood-soaked claws from Mickey's white gloves. Eric Larson is reading this now?
nice imagery. I love it.
Eric Larson has taken over. Do you see this as the start of a new long-term trend with their approach and business model, or a fleeting ploy to attract clicks, but something that is soon to fade? If the former, are there implications for the brand? Thanks, guys. Oh, and for the record, Mickey's claws in my mind are strictly of mouse bone and not laced with adamantium. I agree, Brett. They are bone claws. Brett, I don't know. I don't think this is anything new. They tried this with the Max line in the early 2000s when Bill Jemis and Joe Quesada were trying anything and everything. And I still remember I don't know, Richard, the borderline, in quotes, racist Cage Max miniseries by
Mhm.
Richard Corbin, and I think it was Brian Azzarello. Did you ever read that thing?
No, no,
Oh
never did.
man, it was borderline Amos and Andy shuck and jive stuff. At least that's how I interpreted it. I'm sure
Mhm.
people have different opinions, but I was like, okay. And then the Punisher Born Max miniseries. I think there was a Dominic Fortune Max. It was all adult stuff. The Eternal. Oh, so awful. Um, right, it's my way of saying it's not new. Um, I think there's a difference between the Max line, which is a lot more sex, and what you're describing, which is a lot more gore and blood.
Mhm.
Um, Gore and blood sell for a certain time. Look at Warren Publications. They survived all through the late 60s and 70s. And um, is Disney going to notice? Only if we have like the satanic panic that we had in the 80s with comic books, where Friendly Franks was getting busted for obscenity charges for selling cherry Pop Tart. Only pervs would buy that. I don't know if we have to worry.
How about idiot pervs? Because that's, I fall right there in that category.
No, you're just a perv. You're not an idiot. Um, so Brett, I've seen it come and go before. I don't know, Richard. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, both Marvel and DC have messed around with adult. DC had their Black Label. It's fine. I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to feel out where the next generation of comic book readers is looking for them to land. So I see this more of as exploratory than anything long term. I really just don't see the R-rated comics being that popular. At least that's my feeling. I could be completely wrong because I don't necessarily understand the motivations of the newer comic readers, but I think there's a limit to the amount of blood and gore that readers are going to accept in their stories. I think titles like Something's Killing the Children pushes that boundary too. But it managed to do it without um, crossing that line to make it horrific. It's tough. They really walked a great line. I have to say, I can't think of another title that managed to display the amount of um, violence and disturbing imagery without making you look away from the page. So anyway, I'm hoping Marvel just is using this to feel out the audience and will make adjustments to their titles accordingly.
The larger implication for me is that Marvel's basically throwing up their hands and saying, "Okay, we admit it. Only adults are buying our books,
Mhm.
so we have no chance of capturing a young adult market or a children's market. So here you go. Have some entrails." Uh,
That is totally their fault. I mean, the Spider-Verse movies have been very successful with the younger audience. The DC has had great success with their animated series, pulling in younger audiences. Um, there's no reason why Spider-Man can't continue to be a character that appeals to young people. It's totally on their writers to make that happen.
this goes to a larger question, which is the monthly periodical the problem? Because
Yeah.
we like that monthly hit. Um, but young adults, I mean, your kids, my nieces and nephews, they'd rather go into a shop, Barnes and Noble, even a physical shop, if they're going to buy physical stuff, and buy a little paperback in manga style all at once with a self-contained story or a chapter thereof. And Marvel and DC, they have not committed to creating a product like that.
Right. Yeah, I would say even more than that. I mean, my kids are a part of the TikTok generation. They're constantly scrolling through their feed. And web comics have really appealed to that audience because they release their content on a more frequent basis. So you can do that model where you're scrolling through the content. Um, And then, maybe that's the answer. Instead of monthly comics, have something that's more,
Marvel Infinity's playing with that. DC has licensed stuff to Webtoon, so we'll see if any of it catches on. What is your first piece of viewer mail?
My first piece is from Instagram follower, or sorry, YouTube follower, broke cause of comics. I hear you. And he says, right now I help support the channel by watching and letting the ads play through. Thank you very much. I, John and I are appreciative of any support that you can give us,
Mm.
either be a member or simply just watch the videos. We do this for fun, and we want to make an appealing product. So we want you to want to watch the entire episode all the way to the end. So we appreciate you doing that, and you definitely are supporting our show.
Thank you. We do appreciate that. And broke cause of comics. You can't blame us. You're broke because of you said it yourself. My next piece of your mail comes to us from Matrix Comics. Richard, I'm glad you're sitting down. Hey guys, there must be a voice of dissent regarding Dave Stevens, and here it is. Although a daft draftsman, his work is merely golden age good girl art rehash with no reflection of the era he was actually working in. His technical skill is not enough to hide his lack of imagination or any sense of pushing the medium forward. He's only looking back with his own fanboy glasses. I can't believe he has hypnotized the masses with books that should have stayed in the dollar bin. The work is simply boring with nothing to add. Best, Matrix. I like your happy sign off there, Matrix. Your opinion is absolutely valid. If that's how you feel, that's how it goes. I would say the entire superhero genre, Marvel and DC, is basically looking back with fanboy glasses and merely rehashes of the glory days of Stan and Jack for Marvel and Julie Schwartz and the sort of DC glory days, more Weisinger era for Superman. So, different strokes, Matrix Comics. You're allowed to hate on Dave Stevens all you want.
Yeah, you make a good point, John. I mean, the fact that characters still wear spandex is an affectation. They're aping what they saw in the Silver Age, Golden Age. Um,
Grant
I
Morrison and Frank Quitely tried to ditch it for X-Men. Didn't last.
No, I say that, but I appreciate it because I watch the CW shows, and the Arrow show. They just did not put the right suit on for
Mhm.
Green Arrow, and it bugged me. Or the Clark Kent TV show, same thing. He never suited up, and it was driving me crazy. Um, Matrix, as John says, you are perfectly capable of having your own opinions. I will have to say, we have to agree to disagree, because he is one of those characters, or one of those artists, that when I was going through and reading these books originally, I just fell in love. I was a huge fan of Betty Page. He did Betty Page like no one else, and that glamour style for Betty. And his art to me was always so vivid and sharp and conservative in terms of the art style, and it really, really appeals to me. And but people have different tastes. I, for example, can't stand some of Sienkiewicz's art. It just does not appeal to me. And John, on the other hand, absolutely loves it. And we just agree to disagree. So thank you for your opinion, and I will continue to have mine.
Richard is wrong, of course, on Bill Sienkiewicz. That opinion is incorrect. So what's your next piece of your mail?
My next piece is from Justin Traub.
This guy again.
Hi, Justin. Haha, long time listener, wasn't a lie. I have heard you two speak of your credit cards and travel points. I just wanted to get a recommendation before moving forward with my selection. Also, I won't be buying books unless I can pay the card off right after the purchase. I appreciate you both. Yep, Justin wrote in our last show talking about wanting to buy comics with a credit card, and we were saying definitely it's an option, and especially if you want the points from a credit card, but make sure you pay it off and don't hold the balance, because that nullifies the advantage that you get by getting those points.
How they get you. Don't fall for it. Next up from our buddy Baron Comics on Instagram, Bronson. We met him at NeoCon last year. Howdy, fellas. Long-time follower here. I was wondering, how about a viewer show and tell? It's exactly what the title implies. Viewers and or members get to join in the fun and show off their recent pickups.
Wow, you are onto an idea there.
Richard's being sarcastic, and I'm giving you a look, Baron Comics, because we do that every Friday, or sorry, every Thursday now on our members only live stream. We are joined by a different member each week for members only show and tell. Last week we had Dean from Dean TV on. We've had several people. We have people lined up for the rest of the month. So if you're not a member yet, Baron Comics, think about it and join us on Thursdays, and we will let you show off your My Greatest Adventure run.
Yeah, yep. Like John says, we already do it, but it's a great idea. So we will retroactively steal that from you.
Yes, thank you for that idea. Here, what's your next piece of your reel?
Okay, the next piece is from a viewer who must be a man of a certain age, because his handle is 300 baud. I still remember the old acoustic couplers, and I remember upgrading from 300 to 1200 baud.
We had the same exact discussion last time he submitted something for Viewer Mailbag.
I'm sorry, it just tickles me, because it just brings back that era. Kids today, they have no idea.
It was the anticipation. Do you remember even the AOL? You were waiting for the AOL to connect, and you heard, "Hello, you've got mail," and you would get so excited. Someone sent you mail. Okay, this is before junk mail. Go ahead.
Yep, and you were crossing your fingers that no one would call, and call waiting would disconnect you.
Mom, I'm on the line.
All right. Richard said CGC doesn't make their money off the secondary market, but CGC does make their money indirectly off the secondary market, since they charge a percentage of the FMV, fair market value, for high value books. This was a great point, because that Superman, that $6 million Superman, CGC made some serious cash off of that book.
They didn't make money off the $6 million sale, though. They made whatever the fair market value was when the book was slabbed, which was not $6 million. Now, going forward, they've established for an 8.5. So when the next 8.5 actually comes up, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but still, I mean, it has to be thousands of dollars they made off of that book.
For sure.
And so they had that advantage of making money off of that as part of that post grading transaction. So I think the real winner here is, of course, the auction house, because they made money on the front and the back of that deal.
Jeez, oh Pete, we have to commit ourselves. I won't say when, but we have to commit ourselves to do an entire episode without mentioning CGC.
Wow, that's like not mentioning Spider-Man. Or
I know, but I don't want people to think that we're obsessed.
Yeah,
we really are a little bit. Yeah, I mean, just think about it. If we were back in 1999, a few years before slabbing existed, we could talk about things like this next book on the segment called The 25-Year Rule. Segue. Segue. You like that?
All right, this one is awesome. I did not know this existed.
Oh, good. I'm glad I found something for you here. This is Heartthrobs #1 from DC/Vertigo Comics, 1999. This is something that both of us can enjoy. For me, it's a revival of the long-running Golden and Silver Age romance title, Heartthrobs, that DC had. This time with that Vertigo twist. Look at that axe. Look at that frog. My favorite in the bottom right corner, he's hers, but I want him. Oh, naughty. Uh, what makes this particular issue desirable is this murderer's row of creators involved. The cover by Bruce Timm, art by Brian Bolland, Phil Jimenez, Tim Sale. Bam, 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 bam. Only one recorded sale of a CGC 9.8 from back in 2020 for a whopping $50. You can currently grab a high grade raw on eBay for about $10, and this will make Matrix Comics happy. I'm predicting this now. You heard it here first. Bruce Timm will be the next Dave Stevens. I'm saying it.
Yeah, I think Bruce Timm is underrated, even though he's done some great titles, both animated series and the comics. I think he's due to hit it big.
He's the next one. You heard it here first. Speaking, Richard, you said underrated. Segue, underrated books of the week. Go ahead.
My underrated book this week is Vigilante from DC back in 1983. The first appearance of the Vigilante was in Teen Titans number 23. This is his ongoing title. His real name is Adrian Chase. He works with the Titans until his wife was killed, and then he turned into Punisher 2.0. Basically, he's a vigilante out for blood. He appears on the Peacemaker TV show. Not this exact implementation of the character, but still an interesting character. I like these solo titles. I mean, I like the very first, Doctor Doom solo story, the first Iron Man solo story, the first Submariner. I think they're all important books, and this is the first solo story for this character. Gives the character a chance to be fleshed out that the first appearance just doesn't normally give them time to be done. This book can be had for $10 on eBay all day long. Earlier this year, a 9.8 sold for $83. I like the Peacemaker show. Have you watched the Peacemaker show, John?
I have not. That is one that's on the
Oh,
list. I can't lose with that one.
No, it's got something for everyone. Let's put it that way.
My Lord. Let's talk about underrated here. Keith Pollard, the artist. Look at that cover.
That's such a great cover.
And Keith Pollard, great runs on Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. He does not get his due, Keith Pollard. Let me shout out. Keith Pollard's the new Dave Stevens and Bruce Timm. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. That's I see this. I see this book often in the dollar bins and the $5 bins. And that yellow cover can be difficult to keep in high grade. So if you come across a high grade copy, you may want to pick it up because you won't pay much for it. And if for some reason they take the Peacemaker towards a movie as opposed to just the TV show, he may be a major character in that. So you never know.
All right. Good one. I love that 1983 era for DC. This next one, Richard, I basically did this for you. Speaking of our friend Bruce Timm, what if I told you that here's one that should be in your sweet spot? It is Spider-Gwen #1, the 1 in 25 Bruce Timm variant. Have you seen this before?
I have not, and I don't know how. I do not know how I missed this.
I didn't either. And that's why when I ran across it, I was like, wait a second. Hello. This is from 19. Wow. This is from 2015. And high grade raws of Spider-Gwen #1 for this Bruce Timm 1 in 25 variant sell on eBay for around 25 or $30. The last sale for a CGC 9.8 was in November for $111. That sounds like a last minute snipe bid to me. Richard, you do not have one.
I do not, but I will have one.
Do you like
go on eBay and look for one?
Do you like this cover?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do like the cover. Bruce Timm, I like his style. It's not, and it's a different thing for me because I tend to like precise art,
Mhm.
like Jaime Hernandez or Dave Stevens. This is the opposite of this. This is more. There's more emotion in Bruce Timm's work, and it really appeals to me. So I think I'm going to pick this one up.
She's a little hippie.
She is hippie. All of his characters are hippie. He's a hippie kind of guy.
So there you go. Remember, Keith Pollard is the new Bruce Timm, is the new Dave Stevens. So stock up now, hit those dollar bins, and we will see you members for Wednesday's members only episode and Thursday for members only live stream. Baron Comics, you might want to join us and show your books off.
Yeah. We'd love to see him
for your new feature that you suggested. All right, I'm just kidding you. We'll see you then.
All right, everybody, stay safe.